Hey guys, check it out. You're watching Jonathan Clarke on YouTube. Oh no! Big shout out of love going out to the Descendants and Zombies fans. Thank you guys so much for all the love and support you have shown this YouTube channel, because I honestly do not know where I would be without your love and support that you have continuously and forever and always shown this YouTube channel. A YouTube channel that started with a whisper and exploded with popularity. You guys have made this YouTube channel the most popular YouTube channel in the world about Descendants and Zombies, and I couldn't be more honored and more thrilled to discuss Descendants and Zombies with you for the foreseeable future, because we've got 5 years up until Zombies 5 happens. That is feeling like forever away, I know, for a lot of people, and you're probably thinking to yourself, hey, Jonathan Clarke, that means you've got to make a lot of Descendants and Zombies videos so Zombies 5 can happen quicker for us. I'm going as fast as I can, and I will put my heart into every video that I put out there. I know a lot of people have been making predictions suggesting that mermaids, pirates, witches, sirens could find their way into the Zombies plot. I find this to be very intriguing, and at this point I would go for anything being inside of that supernatural vortex. Now, I have put it out there that I would be the only guy on YouTube to ever voluntarily jump inside of this thing to discover what is inside of it, because it could be anything at this point. People have discussed mermaids, pirates, sirens, witches. I've been a huge fan of supernatural all of my life, so I would go for pretty much anything being inside of this thing. Also, I would voluntarily jump inside of it to discover what's inside of it. I don't think anybody has ever voluntarily offered to jump inside of this supernatural vortex, but I'm really excited to see what kind of story will be presented by the time we get to Zombies 5, if and when it happens. And I'm really excited to see, the love story unfold between Victor and Nova, because there's still so much we don't know about these characters. So many secrets yet to be uncovered and discovered. And I, for one, am incredibly excited to see where we go from here. I have predicted that Freya Sky is well on her way to becoming the next Taylor Swift or Ariana Grande, and I still hold to my prediction on that because of just how dedicated she is to everything she does, and how lost and caught up within the moments she seemed to get during the Worlds Collide tour. And my heart really goes out to every fan of Freya Sky and to her for all the beautiful performances she's given us at the Worlds Collide tour. I was really touched by all of Freya Sky's performances and how emotionally overcome she got during her performance of Gold's Gone, saying she wanted this moment to last forever with the fans of Descendants Zombies Worlds Collide. You guys deserve all the respect in the world for how you came out of support of your favorite stars like Freya Sky, Kylie Cantrell. My heart goes out to each and every single one of you. What really upset me about the Worlds Collide tour were all the critics that were in the crowd. We found them in the crowd. They showed up, they wanted to criticize the Worlds Collide tour, and my heart goes out to everybody who wanted to show up and have a good time, because your videos that you uploaded about the Worlds Collide tour were absolutely fabulous. They were so full of life, they were so energetic, and then you had these people in the crowd recording these videos with criticism to upload to their big-time YouTube channels. I never ever wanted to create this YouTube channel to criticize Descendants and Zombies. I wanted to talk about it with a promising future in store for them, because I really do believe that there's not one specific character from Descendants or Zombies that you can designate to have a promising future. It's not just Freya Sky, it's not just Malachi Burton, it's everybody who was ever a part of Descendants and Zombies. And I have never seen a cast more proud to be a part of what they're a part of, which makes this so exciting, or at least should make this so exciting for every fan of Descendants and Zombies for the foreseeable future. And with all these new characters now coming into the story, it makes it more unpredictable and a more exciting time than ever before to become a fan of Descendants and Zombies. And I really think that people are really gravitating towards Descendants and Zombies, wanting to hold on to this forever and always. That's what makes this so fun and so compelling, I think. Everybody is just falling in love with Descendants and Zombies for its story, its powerful music, and I think that there's a lot of contributing factors to the success of Descendants and Zombies, but one of the biggest things I think that can be highlighted about Descendants and Zombies' profound success is not just its popularity for its story and its music and its characters and its cast. It's how people are the best of friends now because of Descendants and Zombies, and the value of friendship has been put on display more than ever before. You take the friendship between Kylie Cantrell, Malia Baker, Ruby Rose Turner, that I can never say enough good things about. It's really putting out there how a friendship can really go the distance, and how a friendship can last for forever. All of my lifetime throughout my high school experience, I probably had 3 or 4 really good friends. And as the years passed by and we became closer, I realized that the 3 or 4 good friends I had in high school were really all I ever needed. And if you can really put that in perspective and really have a greater appreciation for the 3 or 4 really good friends that you have throughout your high school experience and come to the realization that's all you've ever needed, then you're pretty much set for life. And I think that sometimes people feel as if, 500-600 friends, being overwhelmingly popular is what they need to, achieve success in this lifetime. But you take, for example, the zombie story about how themed around acceptance. It themed itself around acceptance and how Zed and Addison wanted to just spend the rest of their lives together regardless of what people thought of them, regardless of how humans and zombies could never learn to coexist. Eventually we got to a point where humans and zombies eventually did learn to coexist. But I think the most important lesson that was learned from Descendants of Zombies is that when you find true love, you'll do anything to keep it. And through the sacrifices that they made, both Victor and Nova and Zed and Addison, the two couples, the 4 respective individuals featured in this film, I think that there was a greater appreciation emphasized, there was a greater emphasis on how, far love can really take us, and how love is really forever and always supportive. Love really stands the test of time and through the most difficult of challenges that were faced, because Addison faced a lot of different choices and consequences from her choices. I remember Zombies 2, when she figured out her history of being a werewolf and her family's lineage, and then she wanted to embrace how happy werewolves were for who they were. And of course Zed had a difficult time trying to understand that. I went back and I watched Zombies 2 yesterday, and I saw that. And I saw the emotion coming from her of how proud she was to be a werewolf. And then by Zombies 3, figuring out her lineage and discovering it about being an alien and then dyeing her hair a different color. Everybody was so fond of Addison's hair in Zombies 3, I think. But I think there were so many other character traits by Zombies 3 that Addison had brought to life. She was full of energy, she was full of excitement, and she was just so fun to be around. And I think that one of the things to be highlighted about Zombies was, even through all the consequences and controversy that Zed and Addison encountered, their love outlasted everything. And I think that Victor and Nova's relationship, by the time that we get more in depth and more in detail about it, I think we're going to have something much more to be excited about by the time Zombies 5 happens, regardless of what's inside of that vortex. One can predict that it's the greatest threat that's ever been posed to Seabrook. And now with Zed and Addison sitting behind the camera now, offering creative sense and creative direction, I think this is going to be the best story that we've ever seen for Zombies. And by the time the 5-year release window elapses, I think this could be one of the greatest stories ever told for Zombies and ever brought forth. Because the original trilogy was great. Zombies 4: Dawn of the Vampires, by the time it happened, had better music, a very powerful story. And I think that there is still so much more of a story to be told between Victor and Nova. And because they look so adorable together, I think millions of people are really going to gravitate towards Zombies 5 and say more positive things about it. I can only hope, at this point we can only hope that people are going to say more positive things in the way of reviews about Zombies 5, but I'm really looking forward to finding out, where we go from here, what supernatural force we will encounter, what will happen. I'm just really excited and really intrigued by the whole thing, because I think that everybody thought that by the Zombies 3, the story would have been told and completed and they weren't going to be making any more Zombies movies, and I've kind of held on to the belief that Zombies and Descendants was going to last for forever. I think one of the biggest things that stood out to me about the Zombies franchise was the cast, and how dedicated they were for the PR, how they always showed up with a smile on their face. They were happy to be around whoever they were around, especially the people in New Zealand that helped out with the production of Zombies 4: Dawn of the Vampires. One thing I noticed about the people of New Zealand were they were incredibly appreciative of everybody they were around, the entire cast, and just happy to be a part of whatever they were a part of. And I think the Zombies cast really brought a personality to the set of Zombies 4: Dawn of the Vampires in New Zealand that will never ever be forgotten. Many of these scenes that I saw in Zombies 4: Dawn of the Vampires and remembered were packed with so much emotion, especially that scene where Victor and Nova discovered that they had met each other for the first time after seeing each other countless times in their dreams. I have to mention that this is a very powerful way to introduce new cast members that are going to be carrying on the lineage and the legacy of the franchise, because I've always wanted to meet somebody that I've seen forever in my dreams. I have never done it, or at least from what I can recall in my lifetime, I've never met somebody that I've seen in my dreams. But I think it would be a beautiful way to meet somebody that you were destined to meet by after seeing them in a recurring dream like Victor and Nova did. And all the scenes that Victor and Nova shared together and how emotionally connected they were with their characters and their relationship, which is eventually going to grow into something so spectacular, which will lead us to a point where we will see that definite kiss between Victor and Nova. I know that there was supposed to have been a kiss between Victor and Nova and Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires, and the producers pulled it out at the last minute. I guess it had everything to do with their age and how Disney didn't really want to put that on display, and they left it up to Zed and Addison's characters, Meg Donnelly and Milo Manheim, because of the history that goes with them with the Zombies franchise and how far they had come. Because I remember when they were 16 years old and they were so appreciative to be a part of the Zombies cast, and they wanted Zombies to exceed the expectations of every critic and all the criticism it was receiving, because early on, I do remember reading on Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb.com how much criticism was being thrown the way of the Zombies franchise. And I just really wanted to be one of those guys on YouTube to give it a chance. And I was probably the only guy on YouTube who did give it a chance. And I think that if more people would have gave it a chance and would have fallen in love with it with an understanding and a better appreciation for how far the Zombies cast came with this franchise. Because I remember years ago when they recorded that first duet Someday between a girl and the zombie and how they could spend the rest of their lives together, they hugged each other and they realized they had gotten to a moment that they never ever thought they would. Because this was really Meg Donnelly's breakout role. It's all she ever wanted to do. And off of this, of course, she had the opportunity to be on American Housewife, on the CW and the Winchesters, I believe for the same network. So she, off of that, a lot of opportunities came Meg Donnelly's way. So forever and always, I really do believe that the Zombies franchise will forever and always hold a special place in Meg Donnelly and Milo Manheim's heart. That be it the reason why they are always going to have something to do with the Zombies franchise going forward. Many people would just close the door on ever having anything to do with a franchise that they're trying to leave in their past, like Dove Cameron has always alluded to in podcast interviews when brought up the question of, will you reprise your role as Mal in the Descendants franchise? Both herself and Sophia Carson believe that they've changed with the times and the franchise has to change with the times. That be the reason for the new cast, but they seem to be incredibly supportive of it. But whenever asked the question, whenever the question dawns of if they're going to reprise their roles, they always shy away from it, I guess because they're trying to focus on more projects. Dove Cameron's got everything going on with her music, of course, Too Much dropping at the beginning of this year, and I remember that performance she gave on, I believe, Jimmy Fallon. It was a beautiful, beautiful performance of Too Much, and she's got a lot going on with music, but I think that we should never close the door on Dove Cameron or Sophia Carson reprising the roles, especially with how they commemorated the 10th anniversary of Descendants. And actually, Sophia Carson was the only one of the original cast to commemorate the original trilogy with the 10th anniversary this past summer, which was fabulously celebrated by everybody who was a part of the Descendants franchise. I just wish Dove Cameron would have, referenced it more, would have talked about it more in PR interviews, because I think solely she's focusing on now what matters to her, and obviously it's not the Descendants franchise, which is why I give Kylie Cantrell and Malia Baker a fabulous amount of credit, because they are focusing on everything happening around them, and they are so appreciative of the Descendants franchise and what it's meant to their lives, because they remember, I guess, growing up watching Descendants like many of us do. I mean, it's really hard for me to believe that it's been 10 years since Descendants happened. And Descendants kind of just magically happened. It was Disney's first opportunity since Hocus Pocus, High School Musical, Hannah Montana to really create magic. And they took full advantage of this opportunity. They capitalized on the merch, they capitalized on the advertising, and I think everything just fell into place for Descendants. It was really meant to be something spectacular, and it really was something spectacular that changed everybody's life and everybody's perspective on how much value needs to be put behind friendship and just how far friendship can take us, how some of the most beautiful relationships of all time happen because you start off as friends and it grows into something more. And I think that's what we saw with Zed and Addison. They accepted each other, they started off as the best of friends, and they became the most beautiful friendship, and eventually will go down in history for being one of Disney's most revered power couples, which makes it a really exciting time for fans of Disney, because I really believe that if we ever do see anybody reprise their roles for a Disney franchise, it will be the Zombies cast ever before Descendants, because I think that more opportunities were extended out to the cast of Descendants because of the popularity of the stars like Dove Cameron and Sophia Carson. Because you're talking about a girl who had 45,000 followers on Instagram from just posting photos of herself when Descendants skyrocketed in popularity. And ever since Dove Cameron exploded on Instagram and exploded with Descendants, same thing with Sophia Carson. Sophia Carson's first major role was because of Descendants, with a character that had no backstory whatsoever. And really, when you think about it, Mal had no backstory whatsoever either. So you think about how these characters had no backstory and the exemplification of work ethic that had to go into bringing these characters to life. The evil queen's daughter, that we didn't really know a whole lot about, really came into her own. So too did Mal's character, portrayed by Dove Cameron, and their friendship. extraordinarily beautiful. There's just something about the water over there at Disney, I think. I've got to get a drink of it because, in all honesty, some of the most beautiful friendships of all time have happened because of franchises like Descendants, Clarke and Trell, Ruby Rose Turner being friends ever since the age of 9, Clarke and Trell meeting Malia Baker as Red and Chloe and hitting it off and being so supportive of each other through brutal breakups they had to go through just last year, supportive of everything that they're going through. So I really appreciate that, which is why I think we really need to shy away from the criticism, because all of these rumors have happened because of this friendship between Clarke and Trell and Malia Baker, and I've kind of just wanted to take that away from everybody. I think that if we're going to talk about, franchises like Descendants of Zombies, we have to talk about it in a way of showcasing its truest potential, because it's really not reached its maximum potential yet. And by the time it reaches its maximum potential and we really squeeze it to its last drop like a lemon, I think that this franchise is really going to explode with unpredictable moments, moments that have yet to be created, and just magic that we're all going to be a part of. It's really going to be history that we are all going to be a part of, and I'm excited to be a part of it with each and every one of you, because I think there's a lot to be said about Descendants of Zombies that has not been said yet, because there's so much of a story left with Victor and Nova. There's still so much of a unpredictable, climax to get to. I don't think when I really think about it, I don't think there's ever been a climax with Descendants of Zombies, because I think this story just keeps on going and going and going, and there's always a new chapter. No matter how much everybody tries to convince us that Descendants of Zombies has reached its dramatic conclusion, like the critics always refer to it, I think there is always the chance for a new chapter, new characters to see their introduction into the franchise. Like upcoming with Descendants 5, Book of Wonderland, there's going to be Encanto characters, there's going to be characters from Princess and the Frog. And I'm really excited to see where we go from here with those characters, because I was a big fan. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I was a big fan of the Princess and the Frog and the New Orleans musical years ago in 2011. The Princess Tiana character, the first African-American princess. They did a fabulous job with that, and they really brought that musical to life. So these characters coming into the fold presents the opportunity for new songs on the soundtrack of Descendants 5, and probably some of the catchiest songs. Because if Life is Sweeter When You Are was the catchiest song on the Descendants soundtrack, I think that songs inspired by Encanto and Princess and the Frog could be just as catchy, if not catchier, and I'm really looking forward to seeing them bring this to life. I think it's going to be very colorful scenes. I think it's going to be very colorful music videos, and by the time these drop on Vivo, I'm expecting millions of views and raved reviews of Descendants 5, Wicked Wonderland, although I do expect criticism to come the way of your favorite stars too, because we can't expect Descendants 5 to drop without criticism. I think every Descendants movie has found its way into criticism, although I've tried to shy away from it. It's very difficult to do it on times, because I wish more people would give it more of a benefit of a doubt than what they have, because I think that more good things can be said about your favorite Descendants of Zombie stars, and I've just wanted to be one of those guys to really, put it on display for you guys, because I really do believe that we've shared in the moments of Descendants of Zombies, and through all the moments and the memories that Descendants of Zombies have left us with, from the very romantic times of Zed and Addison to the controversial moments of Red and Chloe. I think there have been so many unbelievable moments that we have forever held on to and cherished, which makes being a fan of Descendants of Zombies all worth it. I think about the last 10 years and what I've been doing with my life for 10 years, and there's no better way that I would have wanted to spend this last 10 years than by talking about Descendants of Zombies with each and every one of you, because I know how much it means to each and every one of you to have been a part of these rapid ascension franchises that have gone from literally nothing to being number one on Disney Plus and Disney Channel. I mean, I remember when Zombies 4 premiered this past summer, it took it nothing to go from being a movie that nobody had ever heard tell of to number one. And now it has over 250 million hours of stream time, which really says a lot about the Zombies franchise. My hat's off to everybody who's been a part of this franchise from the very beginning, who believed in it from the get-go. And I think that there are still so many chapters of Zombies yet to be seen and yet to be explored. Zombies 6, Zombies 7, Zombies 8. I mean, not just talking about Zombies 5. I know Zombies 5 feels like forever away, but that doesn't mean that we can't get there. And I say this because there is so much love and support coming from the fans about Descendants of Zombies. We saw it at the Worlds Collide Tour. We saw it with just about every movie. From 2015 onward, Descendants has exploded in popularity. Zombies the same. Although there's always been that comparison made of what franchise is better, what franchise is far more superior than the other. I really don't think there is a franchise that you could choose over the other, because I think there are just as many fans of Zombies as there are Descendants. Now, Descendants is separated by Zombies by a 0.2 of a margin. Descendants has a rating of 6.4, I believe, and Zombies is coming right behind it with 6.2 of a rating. So I think there isn't really much of a comparison that can be made. But if I had to choose between the two of them, I would think that Descendants would be slightly ahead of Zombies, but that doesn't mean that Zombies can't catch up, because this powerful script that we just came off of and came out of for Zombies 4 down in the Vampires in New Zealand was beautiful. Everything about it, the scenes, everything was just so perfect. And it really felt as if you were a part of a Zombies movie that really meant something to the franchise. It was setting up for the passing of the torch. It was setting up for a new franchise to take over. And it did such a fabulous job. That was the thing about the Zombies cast, is they did such a fabulous job bringing this to life, because they had it in their hearts for forever. They wanted Zombies 4 to be something to be remembered and never to be forgotten. I think that all the stars of the Zombies franchise, such as the song Legends in the Making suggested, wanted to go down in history for being some of the greatest of all time. And they definitely had that opportunity to, and I think for sure, with 100% confidence, I can get away with saying they will go down in history for being one of the greatest of all time. One of the greatest casts of all time. Because you think about the franchises, Hannah Montana and High School Musical years ago, that was many moons ago. But I don't think they ever got to the point where Descendants of Zombies is at right now to take over. I think that Hannah Montana went to number one unquestionably because of the music and because of the stars. But when you talk about the story and the script for Hannah Montana, nothing really made sense in the way of a story. You take the music out of Hannah Montana and you don't really have much of a backdrop to rely on. But with Descendants, you could have taken the story out of it and still had great music for people to fall in love with. You could have taken the music out of it and still had a great story. So Descendants had more to rely on and more to believe in, I think, Descendants of Zombies did. And I think this is why these characters will go down in history for being some of the most revered of all time. And I'm really excited to see where the future takes us. Because I think that just closing the door on Descendants of Zombies, or closing the proverbial book, is just jumping to a formidable conclusion. With still so much of a story to be witnessed, especially with the Zombies fans. One should never believe that they're running out of supernatural creatures to have in the Zombies franchise, because there are so many supernatural creatures, from trolls to goblins to you name it, to be introduced into the Zombies franchise, because of how much of a supernatural lore that could exist with this one. And I'm incredibly excited to see where we go from here. You know, you can talk about the Zombies movies of the past, having seen everything, see their introduction into Seabrook from, of course, Werewolves by Zombies 2, Aliens by Zombies 3, Vampires, two different groups, Daywalkers and Nightwalkers by Zombies 4. What's left? That will forever be the conversation. But I think that if you have an imagination that can take you much further into the Zombies franchise, then there's something to look forward to for everybody. And I know that people will be teenagers by the time Zombies 5 happens, but even if you are teenagers and you've kind of grown out of your childhood, it will trigger childhood memories. You'll be just as appreciative of watching Zombies 5 as you were when you were probably 7 years old, because I know there are people who watched Zombies when they were 7, they're 17 now, and it's just so cool, you know, seeing everybody just embracing the Zombies franchise the way they have been. So even if Zombies 5 happens when you were a teenager and you've grown out of your childhood, I think you'll get to a point where you'll be more appreciative of what lies ahead for the Zombies franchise, because there is still so much of a story to be told, because, well, simply put, this story is far from over. And I'm excited to see where we go from here. Guys, thank you so much for all the love and support you've shown this YouTube channel. I honestly don't know where I would be today without each and every one of you. Your love and support, which has seemed to be endless for this YouTube channel, with everybody subscribing to this YouTube channel whenever they have a chance. I can never tell you seemingly how appreciative I am of each and every one of you. Thank you so much for just being here and being a part of this YouTube channel and all of its profound success over the last year. You know, when I uploaded the very first video on this YouTube channel, I made a commitment to each and every one of you that I would upload as many videos as I possibly could about Descendants of Zombies, and I like to believe that a year and a half later, with over 65,000 channel views happening for this channel and almost 500 videos uploaded, I've followed through with on this promise, which is something that a lot of YouTube creators fail to do, because they just upload one reaction video about Descendants of Zombies and they leave it at that. They leave it up to you to decipher if they're going to upload another video or not. They promise you videos that never seem to surface. But every day on this YouTube channel, there's always something new uploaded, something for you to be excited about and get in on the conversation about. So if you have not subscribed to this YouTube channel, you're probably going to want to do that, because I have a lot to say where Descendants of Zombies goes. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm excited for the foreseeable future of these two franchises, because there's still so much more of a story left to be explored and to be told, which I'm excited to be a part of. So don't forget to hit the subscribe and the like buttons and ring my bell to stay up to date with notification for what's happening on this YouTube channel. You're probably going to want to do that, because I have a lot to say where Descendants and Zombies go. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to upload this video to my YouTube channel. I will be back later on this afternoon with another video about Descendants and Zombies, having a whole lot to say where these two franchises go, and I hope you will join me for it. Keep kindness in your heart as I will keep you in mind, because I have a lot to say where Descendants and Zombies goes. We will talk again in just a few hours from now, because life really is sweeter when all of us are.